Hi, my name is Phil Goebel, and this is my digital screencast presentation of my creating project for Education 709. For my creating project, I chose to um, work on two different lessons for an introductory level art class that I teach called Art 1. And we focus on the elements and the principles of art um, within the majority of that class. So the first two lessons that we do are line and shape. Now, throughout my all of my classes at with CMU in this master's program, one thing that's stuck with me all along is the idea of flipping my classroom. So one thing that I have kind of had in the forefront of my mind all along is trying to figure out the best way to um, to flip my classroom. So throughout my master's, I've been kind of working on creating a course website. This is for the majority of the first semester here for Art 1. So you can see that I have my elements of art across the top here. This is something that the students would be able to use to access from home or from different computers around the class, around the school, if they, if they had some free time in a different class or in the library and wanted to move ahead with something we were doing in my class. Also, here they have quick access to all the important things throughout the classroom that their parents can view, but then also that they can refresh their memory with as well. On here, I also went ahead and put a link to their grades in my email, so if they have any questions. But this is important because for line and shape here, one of the main parts of my creating project is that they are using this website to access all of the different things that we're doing throughout those projects, and I'll kind of get into that in just a second here. But as far as my presentation goes, I just kind of created a few little slides um, to kind of focus in on important aspects of my creating project. So you can see here, this is my individual project, and the rationale behind it, again, is trying to create a flipped classroom for my introductory art students. And we're focusing on the elements of art to start off with, line and shape. We're using specific technology such as the Apple TV and the Elmo, as well as computers and whiteboards and all of the different things that we can access, along with the Apple TV, also the iPads as well. So the first lesson here, we've got the element of line, and we've tried to focus on a little bit of our history. So the nice thing about all of this, the digital aspect to my website here is the within each one of these tabs, they can go through and search out specific aspects of each project and focus in on the art history that they'll be researching, and then later on creating an online presentation for, or a digital presentation that they'll use the Apple TV and the iPad or their personal device to help to demonstrate to the class. So that's a pretty cool thing that the iPads can be used for. Kind of the same thing with the shape, focusing in on optical art and specific artists that deal along with that as well. Now, if I go to my specific creating project, you can see here as we move through, specifically for the first project, there's actually a series of things that they would be able to work their way through on the website. A series of projects for weeks 2, 3, and 4 in my Art 1 class. So they would research for their screencast that they would be creating to demonstrate to the class using the iPad and the Apple TV. and then work their way through all of this stuff. Then later on down here, it goes on to explain each one of those um, aspects, and then I took it to the point where they, day by day, what are they doing throughout this project. And then later on in lesson 2 for shape, you can see again there are a series of things. We're studying Henry Matisse, creating a research screencasts for this specific artist as well, and then those students would demonstrate that, and as they finish, move on to the different projects and activities throughout the weeks 4 through 6 as well. Okay, so as far as my online resources, you can see here, here's the Blackboard, but if I go to my favorite things here, you can see I've also created a series of tabs online that we can use to help to show. Earlier for my searching project, I was kind of focusing, trying to decide whether I wanted to go with the iPad or the Apple TV, and I've basically, through my research, I was trying to decide which one I wanted to get, the Apple TV versus the Elmo, and I found out that you could actually use the Apple or the iPad and the Apple TV to create the effects of the Elmo, relatively inexpensive, which was pretty cool. So, and that would be my plan, would be to use the iPad to enhance my classes here at Owasso High School. So again, we've got also for the creating project, I've got these, we talked about the different websites that the kids could potentially use to help them to learn about these different artists and the styles of art, and consider all of the different things that they could use. They could find examples of specific artwork, talk about examples. They could, create their own examples and then relate their examples to the artwork of famous people in the history of art with regards to line or shape, depending on which presentation they're working on. But as you can see here, I started out by just doing Wikipedia. I would probably do that with my students, and then encourage them to branch out and try to find references of their own. I wouldn't provide all of the references for them to use. Try to encourage them to use the internet on their own to do their own learning. Now, as far as the presentation goes, so they create the presentation, and then later they would create the actual project. Okay, so I've got a couple of examples of what they would be trying to do. They would create a guidelines page so that they could keep a record of what it is we're trying to accomplish for the different projects. They would keep a record. They would create an actual line project demonstrating each type of line. In this example, we used paper cutouts. We could do a project where we painted. We could use pastel. We could use crayon. We could use whatever we wanted. We could use mixed media to demonstrate our understanding of each one of these concepts. For the shape project, again, talking about geometric versus organic shapes, they would do a little, do their research, try to come up with ideas of things that they could create, demonstrating their understanding of the different types of shapes that they could use to create a piece of artwork. For these two projects, we also, with regards to art history, we talk about, for line, we talk about, day still. with PA Mondion. I've got some examples here. So they would, kind of dabble a little bit with that style of art and try to demonstrate their understanding of day still. This is an example of day still here. Pretty easy to find. Again, they could type in day still, look and search for images and go through and find an example that they liked. And then later on for optical art, there are all kinds of optical artists and optical illusions created throughout this movement in art. They could search to find out, what makes up optical art. They could look for specific artists that have been successful in this genre here, and again, look for examples as well. So, as far as my creating project goes, the idea behind my 2 lessons was to use the Apple TV and the iPad, both for digital presentations, but also the iPad like an Elmo, to enhance the lessons that we already teach, and to try to think about ways that we can get the kids to consider this on their own time so that we can utilize our class time more effectively. But thank you for your time and for watching my screencast, and hope you guys all experience success throughout this course, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. All right, take care.